Welcome, baddies. So bad it's good. We have a special episode for you today. Not only is it one of the we're at the beginning of fall, we're at the beginning of spooky season, and we like to recap movies. Me and my partner, I think she's like the second. She's like been on the show the most besides Sophie, I think. And we recap movies together. There's a gift that we have, and it's God-given, obviously. But Annabelle, there was a list of movies we went through, and there was a lot of spooky movies. I think I wanted to go with Orphan, about that little girl that turns out she's like 80 years old or something. I haven't seen it. But Annabelle was like, why don't we go with The Ring? And so Annabelle Desisto from Adderall and Compliments is here once again, and we will triumphantly recap The Ring. And we're going to do this in 2 hours. And if we don't, everything is over. I'm quitting the podcast. Annabelle's quitting. I'm going to go ride horse. And by the way, Annabelle, say hi really quick.
Hi, Mr. Bailey.
Hi. By the way, she has her hair done exactly like the girl in The Ring right now, except that it's not covering her face. But it's very straight, like the girl in The Ring.
I'm very, very method. I actually brushed my hair for this, so that is very, very big. Yeah. You should feel honored. I will even show you my Halloween decoration.
Oh, yeah. Dude, she has, oh, God. Wait, what happened? You had Jack Skellington in there the other night.
Yes, I did have a 7-foot tall Jack Skellington, but it was scaring my cats.
So you put a little skeleton pony?
Yes. So this is much smaller. This is a 4-foot anatomically correct skeleton pony.
Is it a male pony or a female pony?
Like I said, I just well, those aren't those aren't skeleton, or the genitalia isn't.
Okay, that's what I was going to
show as a skeleton.
Oh, the genitalia has skin on it? That's the only thing that is not a skeleton?
I thought you were asking me if it was like a male or female pony. This they don't identify as, one or the other.
How progressive. That's amazing. That's exactly. I mean, is that real, or is that just your pony skeleton doesn't identify as male or female?
You know what? My Halloween decorations like to have labels.
So this has already gone to a smashing start. I do want to think, though, once I was watching The Ring, because I saw this movie when it first came out in the movie theaters in 2001 or 2.
I'd just like to point out, you have absolutely no props for this. You have absolutely nothing celebrating.
What is this? What is this? What is that?
That was printed out at like a hotel, like conference center.
Well, was I supposed to buy a little girl and like make her dress up for you? Like, what?
Listen, they sell them on Wayfair with free shipping. You have absolutely.
Here's the little girl from The Ring. This is Ringovation by Lisa Ringa. That's a prop. No,
I realize I'm like, oh my God, me and her have both had the same fucking hairstyle for 20 years. I'd had the same Samara hairstyle.
Okay, you guys, this movie was made in like 2001, 2002. There's going to be a lot of things. If kids are listening, I mean, you can listen, but you're not going to understand. There's like VCRs in this thing. There's flip phones. You're really not going to be able to follow some of this. And I realized why we were covering this movie once they got to the horses. They got to the horses, and I was like, of course Annabelle wanted to do this movie, because that's what Annabelle does. Is she professionally is a horse rider now.
Yes.
You do like competitions and stuff. So of course you wanted to watch The Ring. I forgot there was a whole horse element to it.
Oh yeah. This is one of many movies I've like trapped you into doing. When you're like, when you said that you wanted to do Orphan, I was like, oh no, that will be done. I like that you think that you're just committed to this like one movie. Oh no. No, this will be a sequence, since this is our 2-year anniversary.
Is it
doing
really?
Movie recaps, because
is it really? What was the first one? Was it Twilight?
Twilight, because I wanted to celebrate Halloween with like vampires and like werewolves and like Kristen Stewart's dynamic personality. And that
Kristen Stewart would be a good Samara. She kind of seems like soulless and all that stuff. Wait,
I think she looks too. I think Kristen Stewart is like doesn't look happy enough. Like she doesn't look as happy as Samara. So like.
What I mean, what I will say though about this any horror film, you guys, and I got bummed out when I started watching it yesterday, was that if it's PG-13, count me out. Like, you can't get a good scare with PG-13. Like, no. Like, this PG-13 is the same shit as Twilight. You expect me to be scared with a PG-13? No. Were you scared at all during this movie?
I was terrified of this. I have not seen this movie. I'm not kidding, Ryan. This movie was as influential to my, like, to me growing up as, like, Mean Girls was. This was the only
tell me your history with this movie.
This was the only horror movie I've ever seen in theaters, and the last horror movie, besides House of Wax, which I obviously went to opening day to support Paris Hilton, but like that wasn't really a horror movie, you know, like I wouldn't consider that horror. I would consider that like I was a diehard fan and would watch her in anything. But this is the one and only horror movie I've ever seen, and this destroyed me for the rest of horror movies. This was my only experience in a movie theater where everyone was screaming. Like everyone, it looked like one of those like previews.
Were you by yourself? I mean, was it like just
no, I was with I had like a total of 2 friends in middle school, and we were both like scared to death. And I was like, oh my God, if this one goes out, if this movie gets her, then I'm going to be like totally alone. This terrified me to no other. I slept with my lights on. I'm not kidding. I slept with my lights on for at least a year. Like my parents' electricity bill doubled because of this movie. And last night I watched it for the first time since then. And after I unplugged my TV, I'm surprised it's still free.
Yeah, this thing, the TV, you'll unplug it and then it comes back on, which by the way is like, it feels like something that we shouldn't be so reliant on electricity. I think that's the overall message about this movie, is that we are too reliant on fossil fuels. No, why did you get into horses? If this really scared you, if this really scared you, why would you ever now work with horses? I feel like if this movie really affected you,
the part that scared me.
Because there were so many, and the horses was in. Okay, so you guys, the whole plot of this movie. Okay, is get ready for this. There's a videotape. And if you watch it, you're going to see a bunch of creepy student film, shitty, grainy images, like black and white, like sepia tone, like all sorts of weird shit, but like not that good. And then at the end, after the video, you see kind of like a ring thing. And like it's like
you say a ring thing,
it's
literally a ring.
It's some dude's butthole, who knows? And then all of a sudden you hear a phone ring. It's like ring, 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 ring. And then you pick it up and it goes 7 days. And then 7 days later, you die. That's the whole plot of the movie. The whole plot. And I hate to give it away. It never fucking makes sense. Can you tell me how the fuck any of this it makes sense at all?
You're telling me that this did not scare you. When was the first time you saw it?
When it first came out in the movie theaters, and I remember now thinking the same thing because I remember that fucking doofy Noah dude, and I was like, "This guy is just a pretty boy. Who the fuck is this?"
For my generation, this was like
my
version of The Exorcist.
It was Woodstock.
I'm sure
it was like
for
Woodstock
your generation, this is like when you saw Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds for the first time. I bet you were terrified.
Fuck you.
So you don't get it.
I'm sorry I wasn't wetting my panties in a public movie theater because this little thing. Did you have no sense of like plot as a kid? Were you like, hey, none of this ever makes sense? How did this get put on the video? Like, who videotaped this?
I didn't realize. I had obviously no idea how terrifying it would be, that it would leave that much of an imprint in my brain. The amount of times the amount of things I've forgotten in my life, like majority of like good memories I'm supposed to have. I was like, oh yeah, I guess that happened. I don't even remember. But there are like 2 scenes from this movie that I still like vividly remembered. And I was like, why out of like,
what were the 2 scenes?
They
got
the
coffee
in the closet. And the Brian Cox is like suicide.
Oh yeah, Brian Cox from Succession all of a sudden pops in. And I was like, holy shit, it's Brian Cox. And Brian Cox, may I say, you have lost a lot of weight, sir. Like he was like a bigger gentleman. And I had read his autobiography at the beginning of this year, and he talked about how he had an addiction to sugar around this time. And I was like, holy shit, he really did. Did you notice how like much bigger he was?
I am not a Succession fan.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
don't really know. I watched one episode. I'm like, I don't like
Yeah.
to, I love
That's
I
probably
love
not
to
your
watch
thing. What if
rich
I told you Paris
people.
Hilton's in the second season?
Oh, then I would have absolutely I would have started a Reddit chapter about it. But no, I don't like to see like angry rich people like wearing a bunch of like suits and being like mad. I want to see like fun rich people like
In flowing
the
clothes.
original Gossip Girl.
That's an interesting thing. Like, I kind of like that thought. It actually makes sense of like, I want to see rich people in comfortable clothes, not tight clothes. That
I don't
has
want to
some
see
kind of
them
weird
being
logic.
so angry and mean and then, like everything is like gray and
Well, that's the whole point,
so
though. Being rich isn't fun. That's the whole point. Being rich is uptight and serious.
well, I'm sure it's a lot more fun than being poor. At least you can be miserable in like a nice, like in a nice place.
I got to tell you, man, some of the homeless by me, they have like full on tent setups. Like, I mean, I'm not like even joking. It's like, I'm like, man, you guys got not the life, but like there was this one guy living by my friend like a year and a half ago, and he had like a circus tent, like an actual like a mini circus tent. And it was just like, I was like, I bet there's fucking mood lighting in there. Like the guy would plug into and he like, I think my friend was paying like $4,000 a month for where she was at. And then he was like living right behind her in like the alleyway and like the sidewalk. And they're just plugging into a wall. And he had like a whole setup there where I'm like,
And he
has
probably
a TV
saw
in
you
there.
walk by and been like, oh, that poor kid, he's a podcaster.
I
Oh,
do, but by the way, I was legitimately like, damn, that dude has the life. And I know that's like weird to say, but I kind of was like, man, that guy, how many, like, cause this is not right. And I'm going to but like, it was like, I've always had that treehouse mentality. And I was like, this guy built like a treehouse
you always
on
had like
the
that
pavement.
Swiss Family Robinson mentality of like
Oh
living
my
in
God.
a treehouse.
It goes right in there with like, I've always wanted a secret room, like passageways. There was a show you guys on.
Ryan, as a white straight guy, never be like, I've always wanted a secret room.
I've always wanted to
anything
hide
that you're doing in a
in
room that has to be secret is not great.
Well, two things about what not to watch this Halloween season. There's a new show on Netflix called Dahmer about the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer with Evan Peters.
Evan Peters.
Did you just go, oh, cutie pie, Evan Peters. Don't ever watch it. It is the first hour. It's a 10-episode series. The first hour is so fucking disturbing that I couldn't keep. And I thought The Ring was like pussy time, but this thing really
you were such a liar. There is no way that when you saw this you were not moved in some way. Being that somebody
I was moved to go to bed and go to sleep.
Factory,
I was moved to get an 8-hour night of sleep.
I was
by the way,
Annabelle,
I saw this by the Cheesecake. I saw it at that movie theater in the Grove. And by the way, I also
you can lie. It's fine.
By the way, also I was working, I believe, at a Blockbuster at this time, and you think, it just made our job tougher with the video.
Did you see a lot of profits go down?
No, well, I mean, eventually, yeah, but the videotapes, and then you get prankers going 7 days, like it was just, it's like Be Kind Rewind, and then this movie comes out, and then all of a sudden you're the laughing stock again. You're a Blockbuster employee. There used to be a thing called VCRs and videotapes, you guys. And then it went to DVDs, then it went to kind of Blu-ray DVDs, and now we're at streaming. But there used to be a thing, and it was like a clunky. I mean, how would you describe a video cassette? It's like a rectangle.
Oh yeah, it's like if they knew what a cassette tape was, but they don't. I was like, so you couldn't take like the cassette tape. You couldn't take like a pencil and rewind it, like and rewind it back if your like tape ate itself. VHS is like a very long rectangle box with like 2 holes in it.
You're doing great.
But
wait, did you just describe you? I said, did you just describe you? I was joking.
I feel like that if I was saying this to David Foster's best friend, Andre Pacelli, he would instantly understand what a VHS is. I feel like I'm doing very well. But yeah, it's like, I don't think this would translate like now to, because it's like somebody walked up to me and they're like, here's this VHS. If you watch this video, you're going to die in 7 days. I'd be like, okay, fine, because there's absolutely no way I can watch this video. So I will like use it as like, I guess a poster.
That's what I'm saying. The concept of this movie, it really has a horrible ending too, but the concept of don't worry, everybody's going to be safe because streaming now is there. So nobody's ever going to watch this tape again. Like nobody's ever going to get hurt again because this tape, nobody's ever going to go find a VCR to play this tape. I have videotapes that I like high school theater productions. And I don't have a VCR anymore. So like if I got my hands on this tape, there's no way I'd be watching it. So we're saved. And they can't remake this movie either.
But there were 2 more of these Rings made. There, like the third one that came out, like Rings, came out like 5 years ago.
Ring. Oh, was it? It was a remake, wasn't it?
No, it's like in the same series. Like
Wait, this came out 20 years ago. You're telling me they waited 15 years to make the third one? Like it was like fucking Avatar?
I'm not a mythologist, but it came out recently. Okay, yes, this movie is 20 years old. So Dane Cook tried to date it. It still has some interest. But I swear to God, The Ring, which I just don't understand because it's like, was it like a TikTok video or like a YouTube video?
Well, I was trying to think of how you'd update it. And I was like, oh, maybe it's like, don't go to the TLC streaming app and turn on Dr. Pimple Popper. You'll die in 7 days after you watch the third episode. Like, I was trying to think like of how you would even like, I think you're right. TikTok would be a great way to go of like this TikTok. Once you watch it, you'll die in 7 days, you know, but then it would be a TikTok trend and everybody would want to kill themselves. Like, we'll do it.
Like, oh yeah, if this was like, if you watch this like video, you'll die in 7 days, the entire world would be over in like a week. Okay, so Ring 3 came out.
Ring 3 Electric Boogaloo.
Now that's what I call The Ring, Volume 3. Came out
Ringific.
February 1st, 2017. So like a Valentine's
Wow.
Day.
Please say it's still involved in video cassette. Wait, please, what is it, a DVD?
It is. People were hard on this. It only has 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the
8%.
the review
Randall Emmett films get better than this. Is Naomi watching this?
No, this is an up-and-comer named Matilda Lutz. She could be huge with the kids. I don't know. A young woman becomes worried about her boyfriend when he explores a dark subculture surrounding a mysterious videotape said to kill the watcher 7 days after he's viewed it. She sacrifices herself to save her boyfriend. Oh, wrong move. And in doing so, makes a horrifying discovery. There is a movie within the movie.
He has a YouPorn account.
Has ever seen. Your boyfriend's on the dark web.
I know. By the way, so you guys, so basically, I can already now tell you this third one. It's about he's on, the Reddit, like the dark Reddit forums, and they talk about the legend of this videotape. So I guess
in the iTunes review. It's a very dark place,
dude. And by the way, he probably got busted looking at porn, and he was like, no, it's about this girl video. It's a well. Girl climbing out of a well. She's not even pretty, dude. I don't like that. I like you. I love you. What are you talking about? Also, leave me alone. Why are you spying on me all the time? It's just 2 hours of a guy yelling at his girlfriend. I don't trust you. That's what I don't trust. I want to be with you, Tut. I want to be with you forever.
If it was on, it just doesn't make sense, a viral video, or like if this was like on YouTube, imagine like watching this like disturbing video in like the middle of it, in like the middle of like the centipede and like the thumb going through like
that's what it was.
It's just like an ad for like a Neutrogena. It's like a 30-second ad you can't
that's what I kept. Okay, guys, just to explain a little bit of my history with video cassettes. Of course, I worked at a Blockbuster, but you would before DVRs, you would be able to set your VCR recorder to tape your favorite program. So if I had a whole VCR tape of Seinfeld episodes. And it would be like 6 hours, like the max, if you set it to like the slow-mo recording. And it was, I really lived and died by this thing. So such a movie and TV geek. But then you would do this thing where you could tape over your tapes. So then you would catch I used like Seinfeld to tape like 24 or something. So it would cut into like, and you would see a commercial pop up, or you would see like the blurry of like a Kiefer Sutherland pop up after your Seinfeld episode. So you could scrub these images, but that would have been a funny thing in the ring if it did, like, if it just like broke in, it was like sloppily edited. And also you just said Centipede, dude. That's how, as I get older, I've just like forgotten to, like, I was like, oh, it's like, I was like, oh, that bug thingy. Like, I totally forgot that was a centipede. I knew.
Like, I just think of centipede as like three people attached to each other. Like, I don't remember how.
Oh my God. We should have done the human centipede, you guys.
I like that you think we're only doing one movie.
But like, by the way, I do want to point out too, the human centipede came out, and I still to this, even though I feel like I'm getting more tasteful with my pop culture ironic shirts, I did have a human centipede t-shirt when the movie first came out, but it was like stick figures, and it was like the drawing of, and I was like, I would wear that publicly and not even think. Like, I had a t-shirt, and this is so, I one time went to gay pride in West Hollywood, probably like 15 years ago, I was with, because we lived right down from the Viper Room, and so we just walked down there. I once bought a shirt that said 8 inches. Just had 8 inches on it. So I would wear that around 8 inches. And I was like,
I'm sure the homeless people really did feel bad for you.
8 inches. No. 8 inches is pretty good. Like, you know, they had to measure to actually give you the shirt. So, no, but like, I would wear shit that like, and I was saying this on the pod this past week, was that my ex, God, I mean, this is the thing that kind of cracks me up when I think about it. She'd be like, you try to get sexy with you, and you look down and you have some stupid ironic t-shirt on that you think is funny, and it kind of kills the mood. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, there was like a time where I was wearing like David Hasselhoff shirts. I was wearing Michael Bolton shirts. I was wearing Richard Marx shirts. I was wearing a bunch of like shirts ironically. And it would
what was like your ironic shirt that you would like wear on dates? Which one were you like,
my nice shirt?
This is my nicest.
The Justin Bieber mugshot shirt, I think. Because girls love Justin Bieber, and then it's a good conversation piece.
Like, and it's a statement about
luckily, Annabelle, I never really, during that time period, I never had a dating period because I was pretty much with my ex for a very long time. So I never had I had like a 6 month, maybe 6 months to a year, but I didn't really do anything in that year with people. So like, I didn't really have and remember,
so you didn't have like when you joined like the Pussy Posse year.
No, I didn't have a Pussy Posse. We legitimately, like, we had
Isn't it crazy to think that Kevin Connolly was in the Pussy Posse?
We had a dry hump posse. Like, there was no Pussy Posse from me and my friends. Pussy Posse, by the way, is what she's describing is Leo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Kevin Connolly, Lucas Haas, and a couple other people were all part of this kid gang after Titanic happened, where they called themselves the Pussy Posse, and they racked up wild numbers of women, Did I get that right?
Tobey Maguire is Tobey Maguire is the equivalent that scene of him dancing in like Spider-Man, whatever.
Okay, that was Spider-Man 3. That was just a bad overall scene. That's not his fault. That was
just like, if I saw that, like, I'd be like, I'm okay, like never having sex again. Just like that image honestly is more terrifying to me than like this video, than the Ring video. Like, Tobey Maguire is just.
I see. This is how you tell I'm like.
He is like a lady.
Because I'm like, wait, really? Because I'm like, I feel like he's like, okay, look, I see. This is where I don't get it.
No, that's like a no. That's like
looking. He's a movie star.
Like that's that's like a vajayjay like drought. Like that is
really.
Really?
Well, you're not like, oh, this is guy's Spider-Man. That's hot. Like, he's all
no. I would rather fuck the Times Square Spider-Man, which like isn't licensed. He's like insect male.
Annabelle, like I could make that happen for you, by the way.
Really good. You do have connections.
The New York Times Spider-Man. Yeah. Yeah, no, feel free to live with her. Yeah, she's got a anatomically correct pony in here. Feel free to ride that pony.
When you were talking about like your VHS like tapes that you would tape Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Things
by the way, I had this one whole season of Seinfeld on there, and I wore that thing out. It was the season where it was like, they think George and Jerry's gay, and the mom thinks George and Jerry's gay, and he's like, not that there's anything wrong with that. It was like they had so many good earlier episodes. Also, I wanted to tell everybody, just a reminder, another thing I used to videotape, and this is the pervert in me, so close your kids' ears holes. I would do a boner jams kind of thing. I worked at Blockbuster, and I would do all the softcore Shannon Tweed films. You guys, Shannon Tweed's married to Gene Simmons from Kiss, and I would take, she had like this erotic thriller with William Catt, who has like a curly haired blonde actor.
You lost me at curly haired blonde. Nope. No.
I wasn't watching for William Catt. Shannon Tweed.
Well, I see why. He's a curly haired blonde man. It's ridiculous.
But you guys, I think I've said this on a pod, but I would dub just the nude scenes. I know. I would dub just the nude scenes, and then 7 days later, I would explain. No, the nude scenes on the fucking film.
Well, no, I thought you would dub. Like, I didn't know if you were doing like voiceovers. Like,
no, dubbing means like recording. Dubbing means recording. So
okay. So you had one of those like. You had like one of those like double like VHS recorders.
Yeah, no. So what I had was 2 VCRs I would put together, and then through AV wires, I would hook them up. And that's how, I did school projects where it was like, that was my high tech setup, but I would also make boner jams, which was like so I would take all the nude scenes and I would just make the nude scene. And this is where though, this is so embarrassing. Like I was in high, like this is like sophomore year of high school, and the 2 VCRs, because at the time I didn't have a TV in my room. And now I think back and I'm like, what? How would the balls on me? Where I'm like, why am I doing this in the family room? Like just disgusting.
You're like, this is a sacred place. This is where I laid down and wore a condom for 20 minutes.
And by the way, for people that don't know our history, you should go back and listen, because there was a time I bought U2 condoms when I was a kid, and I put them on thinking that they would give me sexual pleasure, and I didn't realize the condoms just protect you when you have sex, because I was a virgin.
Living room, one of the least
they were at and my parents were at church, and I acted like I was sick, and then I laid on their carpet and got naked, and then put the condom on, and then they just didn't do anything. I was like, what do I like? I was like, do I have to do something? I thought this
living room carpet, of course it didn't do anything.
But I was like, I paid $5 for this, and what do I thought that you put the condom on and then something magical happened, and nothing, it was just nothing. So
this is where you would make your boner jams, was in the living room.
Yeah, okay. So I would put the 2 VCRs at my parents, and this is so, and then like I went to work, I guess, and then I came home, and then my dad like had to talk to me because I left the boner jams in the VCR. And so my sister went to play what was in the VCR, my sister and dad, and all of a sudden it was a nude scene. And so I said I was making it for my friend Chris Mercy, who I blamed everything on at the time. And I said I was just, and they couldn't have believed me. In fact, I should ask Bill and Becky next time they're on, like, what lies did they just think were completely ridiculous?
This VHS around, this dangerous VHS,
I'm sloppy, dude. I'm still disorganized to this day. Like I would do it again if I had a boner.
Who leaves there like porn out?
Wait. I want to make it clear though. It wasn't porn, because Blockbuster did not have my Blockbuster didn't have it like porn. They would have the Skinamax film, so you would never see penis or vagina.
Granted, I thought your version of Boner Jams would have a lot more musical numbers. So
yeah, I did intercut some of West Side Story with talk about an explosion. My God.
You're like, my Boner Jams was actually mostly Teen Wolf 2, but I had some.
Shut up. I love Teen Wolf 2. Don't talk.
Did you have like any like, did you have like any like Wild Things type scenes?
You know what? I probably did. I don't remember it, but that Denise Richards Wild Things boob shot is, it's amazing. It's truly, it was like, as you're just like, wow, that was it was very erotic. And then, it was already, because even before that, you had like the kids this is when I was in Kansas, you had kids, we'd pass around like Playboys, or like whatever. It would always be in the woods. Like you'd always like have crumpled up porn in the woods, not from like, but just like kids just stray, like leaving random porn in the woods, or like I wish more
they
guys
left that part out of
they,
Bridge to Terabithia.
Yeah.
We're watching. Where the kids
No, it's
were looking
on.
at porn.
It's in the director.
I'd honestly
It's in the
much rather
director's
have that than like the ending of like that girl. Spoiler alert of that book. It's probably
wow.
on the
Finally, wow.
anyway.
Annabelle hasn't seen most movies, but Bridge to Terabithia.
See,
Yeah.
these are images. If like I wish that well, I don't know how to do on my computer either. Like my storage has been like full for like 5 years. But it's like if there was a way to like for fucking science, if they could catch up, if there was like a way for you to scan your brain and like see like the compartments of like what your brain is holding on to, I've been like, why this? Why this book that I didn't even like? Why The Giver? Fucking hated that.
Yeah,
book.
it's always weird memory how we remember like certain days so well, and then other like there's just like years where
It's
you're
an
like,
enormous
oh
negative
fuck,
one.
yeah.
Normally, I like when I look back or like Facebook memory, I'm like, oh, that good thing did happen. I don't remember it. I remember most bad things. It's like The Giver.
See, that's why, and this is, I mean, we're really, as usual, going wildly off topic. Elon Musk has that company that they are like making like hard drive storage for your brain. And like, I gotta say, I know that's like unholy potentially, but at the same time,
well,
I would give anything to be able to go back to the day where I was making boner jams just to laugh at myself, to like really see that memory completely of like the shame when my dad sat me down, like that, that really built who I was. And I would love to experience that and kind of just laugh at myself like I was watching a film, because it's like a sadder version of American Pie, like you're like, oh, that's sad. It's not as fun as American Pie. Like it was like, I remember, and by the way, my memory and our memory, remember, lies to us as well as our brains. But in my memory, my dad sat down and talked to me in a very dimly lit room. I bet it was fucking like huge lights in there. Like in my mind, it was like a Party of Five background.
You're like, in my mind, it was our secret room. But I guess looking back,
how dare you? Bill has never touched me, not even hugged me, never even loves me at all.
It's like if that, like Elon Musk thing, if that wouldn't interfere with like the microchip that Bill Gates put in my arm when I got the vaccine.
Oh, with the vaccine, yes.
I'd be interested.
Like, by the way, and also just for all you anti-vaxxers and all that stuff, and shout out, but I do find
Jenny McCarthy a baddie Patreon.
Yeah, but Bill Gates, like, okay, so say it's true. Say he's gathering all our information. He's got to be bored to death. Like, what do like this kid podcasts all the time. I'm bored as hell. Like this guy is going to be worth nothing to me. Like this guy literally just sits around all day. This guy did like, by the way, Thursday was insane. I did I didn't realize Kardashians were coming on at the last minute. And I did two Beverly Hills and Kardashian separate podcasts that were multi-hours. And I did 2 interviews that day. And like, I felt like I was like, holy shit, like I'm working my ass off. But in reality, if you would watch a documentary of my life, it would just be some dude sitting at a chair.
You give me 2 hours? How dare you? Rude.
But wait. By the way, you the reason you're on notice because the last one was 4.5 hours. That was
just
insane.
Give me the leftovers. Give me like the spillover you don't like, and I'll post it on mine. Give me the stuff that you don't want. I'll take the scraps. I don't care.
Annabelle, I don't edit like you do. I think all of this
editing,
is gold.
I was like editing. This
I think
is
all
going
of this
like
is gold.
So well. People like edited so much, and then I was just like, oh, obviously not. So no, now I've gone back to. I'm like, oh, this is it.
Oh, last night I had a couple drinks and I dealt with a hater online that tried the podcast and said she couldn't get through 20 minutes of it. And it was horrible. And it's always these people, you guys, always people. Then you go to their page, they follow you, and then you go to their page and it's like 2 kids, lover of Christ. And, it's like Charleston. Like, my first thought is like, oh, Lisa is like a Lisa Rinna burner account. And then second off, I was like, but then second off, just because I'm like, well, she has a point. Like it's not. And I met with a life coach this week, and I think I'm going to work with. But I was saying we're doing like declarative statements, and I said I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and she's like, don't say that. I'm like, well, that one I gotta push back on because I don't think I'm ever, and it's okay not to be everybody's cup of tea. That's okay.
I would say that you're everybody's like cup of like detox tea, the one that like the reality show. stars used to be able to promote. Whatever happened to that? I feel like I don't see any like detox tea anymore, or any of like, what were the shakes? What were the 320 shakes? What were they called?
What is wrong with you? What I'm
no, the like those two brands that like all of the reality show people, like one of them was like, or like the flat tummy tea, where I'm just like, no, I feel like
you okay. You feel like I'm a flat tummy tea. Yeah, no, I mean, but my
I feel like that's very flattering.
You get this as well, is that, it's just that you're like, oh my God, somebody took the time out of their night, who has 2 kids and is a lover of Christ, to tell me that my show is horrible and she couldn't get through 20 minutes. And then I was like, well, which episode? I do a lot of episodes. And then like, should I just, maybe she doesn't like the music. And
but she's negging you, because out of all the nice messages that you've been sent, some messages by me that you don't respond to, but she's negging you because what did you give her? Attention.
No, chlamydia. I hooked up with her. And no attention, but it's just, I'm trying to understand it, because no matter how many years I do this,
she watched The Pickup Artist on VH1.
No matter how many years I do this, it is still wild that somebody's like, and they're always the ones with like kids and lover of Christ. Like, it's like, that's the thing that like, it was Christ like big into like negging as well. It was Christ like, I hate your podcast. And you're like, you created me, Christ. Why you hate my podcast? You created me, but it's like, then I'm like, why are you still? And I was like, why are you still following me? Then I was like, she's still following me. I'm like, if you hate me, unfollow me. And then I was like, I'm just going to post this because fuck. And then it was so cute, because I got so many really nice messages, so much so that I couldn't even open them, because then I got embarrassed. But then somebody, then it's always in the spam folder that I'll look at really briefly. This one lady took the time to write a nice chunk, and it was a yoga teacher. It looked like, and I don't follow her, and she was like, hey, you know what? Like, that's really sad, but like, I tried your pod too. And it was too much, it was just like, it was hard to keep up with. And like, but I love your Instagram account. And I'm like, you know what? That's so interesting. I wasn't opening up a discussion. Like, I wasn't like, everybody throw in, like, it's like, I was like, and I just wrote, thank you. And I mean, I meant it because I know she wasn't trying to be mean. She was trying to give me her take on it, and it's like, it is sometimes too quick, and it is sometimes all over the place. But those are some of the things that I love the most about this. Like, I love that it's just us being like silly and how we would be kind of in normal life. And if you guys want to join in on that ride, like, you are more than welcome. But I mean, we've talked about this before. It still hurts. It's like that little girl in the ring, Samara. I feel like I was thrown down a well when I read that comment.
I mean, the thing is, I think about her and like, I first was like, I listened to it and it's too much, but I love your Instagram account. It's like, a customer this week told me she was going to bring in pants. She's like, I'm about to say something crazy. And I was like, I was like, well, whatever you're about to say. I was like, I'm an absolute lunatic, so I will not judge you. And she's like, well, I was looking at you and I saw that you have like really big hips. And I have these pair of like extra large pants, and it's like, they're way too big on me. I've like lost so much weight. She goes, but I was thinking like I'd come in and like give them to you. Like, I've only worn them for like a year. And like, I didn't know what to say, because I'm like, I'm on.
You say, do you wear them with underpanties?
I'm not above used pants, but it was like.
But you're not an extra large. I saw you last year. You're not even close to an extra large.
No, like, I am. It was just like, it would have been rude for me to be like, no, I don't want your year-old pants that like you've probably like dry humped in, and like, oh my God, I'm shaming this woman's sexuality. And I'm like, I'm also rejecting a gift, which is my number one love language. So it's like, I'm rejecting things and attention. And then it's like, when they say like Samara, it's like, I just like to think of like, oh my God, Samara and the time is like, oh, I got another view. Like, she's just like refreshing.
Samara,
like,
by the way, is just
like,
to remind you, is the name of the girl in the ring that we find out. So she's saying like, oh wow, every time somebody like, watches the video, I got another kill.
But she's like somebody who like is following you, who like I'm sure she's still following you.
No, I told her to not follow me, and then this morning she was like, with pleasure. And I was like, yay.
That's such a gross phrase. It's like when you said it's so erotic. Like, there are
no, I didn't. But by the way, it's like me if I.
But
like,
you
I don't
also
know.
love, like, you also are like, is this a sadist or a masochist? Who's the one who likes pain? The masochist? Yeah.
Oh yeah, masochist. I think sadist is the one that likes to give pain. Which
Okay.
I mean, I do a lot of content that could be considered sadism as well. But no, I tend to go towards the negative, and I will always usually agree with the negative. Like half of me was like, this lady's got it right. Like she gets it. Like she gets me. Like I kind of was like, but then I was like, wait a sec, I worked too hard this week. By the way, you guys hear this all the time, so I don't want to keep bitching, but it was just so recent last night that it really threw me. Like, and I realized it's just like you can't escape this shit sometimes. Like I can't shut. And it's partly because I don't want to shut down, but like I've worked like weeks straight now. Like, I mean, every day it's this, and that's fine. But then if you have a couple drinks and you hit the wrong comment, you're like, I'm not strong enough mentally. I'm getting there, but I'm not strong enough mentally to sometimes be able to process it. And I will say alcohol doesn't help. And that's why I don't drink during the week anymore because of the show. But it will, I mean, we've talked about this in regards to you years ago. Like, I mean, it sometimes still, and then, you get the comments of like, oh, haters are still a download. And you're like, man, I'd rather make people happy than make people hate. Like I'd rather us laugh at Lisa Rinna than hate me. Like, or go, I always say like, go follow your bliss. Like go follow, like, why would I watch this video in The Ring when there's plenty of other good movies to watch? Like, or like even this is like a 30-second film. I would feel so gypped if I rented this. But anyways, that was just on my mind. I'm just saying, but like, what if I showed up to this lady's work? I don't think she works. So what if she raises 2 kids? Like, what if I went to her and I was like, also, holy shit, your kids are lame as fuck. Oh, did you raise them? You are not doing a good job. I had to cut these kids off. I had to they're not going to be good. Like, I mean, you obviously look at you. Like, it's like if I would say that and I never would.
Look at her interests. Look at the 2 interests that you say that you said she has.
Oh,
Christ and kids. Both of them sound like super negative interests to me.
No, at least I mean, I like Christ and I like kids, but I just think it's very non-Christ-like to then send a hateful message, which I guess. What's the difference, Charleston? 3-hour time difference. So then it was like 7:30 my time. So I was like, that's so early for hate. But then it was like, oh, it's 10:30 her time. So maybe she had a busy week raising the kids. These kids are fuckwads. Probably a hard thing to do. And then she's having a couple drinks like I am. And she's like, thought she was going to this show. She's like, this guy, I like him online. I'll listen to it. And then she's like, I hate this. I fucking hate this. And I hate it so much. I need to let this dude know. I need to take this dude down a peg. And that gave her some sort of weird joy, which is very Christ-like.
It's
God loved taking people down.
It's super negative. It's like, it's super fucked up and negative. And it is
hot too. It's hot too.
It's horrible. I was going to say, the thing is, you're also so it's like
I'm saying, my nipples.
Yeah,
are
you're
so
like,
right
was I turned on? Absolutely.
Yeah, was I
but
turned on?
once I finished,
yeah.
like once I ran out of tissues, then I was like, hey, now I'm sad.
Hey, say that again to me.
Sorry. First I was turned on.
See, and by the way, I love that even the first hour of this, like we've talked so much weird shit. If you don't know us, that's why I'm like new people coming into this. I mean, I don't know how you would like it.
I was going to say, I want you to check your messages for a while.
No, but I'm saying it is interesting because you're like, the people that are used to it, like, get it and love it. But it takes, I don't know. Anyways.
Think about, Ryan, like, I sometimes in like anxiety attacks, I would watch, like, I would go on YouTube and I watch, like, I'd put in like baby monkey videos. I like try to think of like the cutest like little things. And it's like you go to like a baby monkey video. It's like baby monkey and baby elephant, like make friends, like orphan baby monkey and orphan baby elephant, like befriend each other. And it's like you'll see like 37,000 like likes, like little thumbs up. And then there will still be like 12,000 thumbs down. And you're like, how could you watch this and been like, baby monkey and elephant.
Fuck that monkey.
Not my cup of tea. Watch this for 20 seconds. Boo! Boo! Like, if you're
just like, if heaven exists, I always say, like, I always think about heaven so much. If heaven exists and we get to have our bodies and all this shit, we're going to be up there. And it's like the first day, everybody's going to be like, this is amazing. Holy shit. And then the second day, it'll be like, these clouds could be brighter. Like, I'm just saying the clouds are pretty up here, but they could be. And you know what? I miss looking at them through my phone. I will say that. But other than that, the heaven is amazing. And then the third day, they're like, do you smell what it's like? It's like a weird smell, right? Like there's a weird
I'm not
stench.
complaining. I'm just saying that how heaven used to be was better. It was a better time. Before all this woke heaven started. It was,
oh, hey, you could be anybody you want in heaven. Oh,
like, oh, I could, like, it's like, just think about, like, would you go to this person? I'm like, everyone knows, like, I definitely believe in like a higher power and whatever. And like, I definitely believe in like heard everything. So it's like, I'm definitely like not I'm definitely not like anti-Christ, like at all. I also say Jesus fucking Christ all the time. That's like one of my favorite things to say.
I'm sure Jesus likes saying that, by the way.
And it's just like, I love everything that he stood for, and he had incredible abs. And I think the only man who could pull off sandals that doesn't like, and it doesn't disgust me. Like, and I love all of that. I don't like how a majority of some people, and there are some people who are really good, of like the ones who are like, I love him, but it's like being like, that's my favorite singer. I absolutely worship him. Oh, I don't follow any of his songs or him on social media or anything. But
like, I don't follow any of his teachings. Like, I just love him.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate all of his music. I hate all of that, or it's just like, so like against it. But it's like, if you like, would you ever go to this person like Karen, 222, whatever her fucking number is, like what a Karen, John, 1214, whatever their stupid numbers are. I don't know. Like, would you ever go to her for advice? Would you ever been like, hey, Karen in Charleston with 2 kids, I'm wondering, like, no
doubt. But see, that's the good and the bad part about doing what we do, is that you get to meet so many people, and like the overwhelming majority have something so cool about them and something to offer. And you're like, it blows you away by how cool people are. But then it also reveals a really dark side of humanity too, where you're like, it sometimes scares you. Like, you're like, oh shit, like there's people like that out there. Because I know personally how I use the internet is to make stupid memes about housewives and pop culture. But like, I never go to Kim's DMs and go, you fucking bitch, badass bitch. Like, I would never, like, no, like I would never do that directly. I would hide behind a podcast and do it indirectly.
I was going to say, I'm like, no, it's like, I always think about it's like, if you wouldn't want someone coming up to you and screaming this at like your dog, like whatever you're about to say on the internet, think about like, hey, if somebody came up and yelled this at my grandma, would I be upset about it? And it's like, if you would be, then like, I don't know, if it ain't cute, put it on mute. But then it's like, also people have like, here is all like, my opinion matters. And it's like, guess what? Guess what Ryan doesn't respond to? My text. Guess what Ryan does respond to? This skank with dumb opinions.
Well, no. I will say though, it's like that's a great.
She negged you.
That's
Ryan,
a great. No, that's a great.
It's
a great point. But I don't even know where I was going to go with this,
because you're realizing that my point is.
No, I think you do have a point. I'm not saying I don't. I think you do have a point. I just say that, like, I don't know. It's scary, and that's the real horror film here. Is this lady, not The Ring, which is not even barely. Okay, let's get into The Ring. Okay, this is. I'm sad. Okay,
you're
so
like,
PG-13.
Oh no! See, it's like you brought the whole mood down. So cancel clear. I'm gonna go.
Cancel clear. Oh, which by the way, did you watch the 3-part Bling Ring documentary on Netflix? That came out yesterday.
You know how I feel about documentaries.
No, this isn't for. Don't worry. This is not for smart people.
No, I don't like truth. I don't know.
Well, this is kind of like I don't know. It has Paris Hilton in it a lot.
Like her doing the actual interview, or
and
like
Perez,
or like them showing stock footage of her.
Stock footage, but also stock footage, like good stock footage, like. You show her closet a lot.
I see enough stock footage. Like, I included Paris in my in the yearbook. In your yearbooks, okay. Well, I don't think you guys have this on your yearbooks. but like in my Times yearbook, like you could buy like not ads for yourself, but like your parents could buy like
I had that in my yearbook.
Like a pay to have like a backdoor ad or whatever.
Totally,
like, about you. So being the narcissistos that we are, we bought 2 pages. So like I was like a centerfold.
Oh my God. Please say it was partially nude.
No, it wouldn't have made your boner jams. But one of those pictures was of Paris Hilton, and the girl in the yearbook, and she goes, "This isn't even you." And I'm like, "No, I know." And they were like, "This is just a picture of Paris Hilton." And I was like, "Uh-huh." And I was like, "Do you need like copyrights or something? What is the problem?" And they're like,
"That would be funny if Paris sued your school for this.
You're using a picture of like Paris Hilton." I was like, "Yeah, but that's a picture of her I took while I waited in line in Miami to have her sign her one and only CD, which is like a travesty. Like we'll say fucking Stars Are Blind, like is such an iconic song that people think of like Imagine as like a world-changing song. Okay. But it's like, if you put on Stars Are Blind, like what is catchier? What makes you move more?
Still Imagine. I mean, like,
okay,
Stars Are Blind is a good
Gal Gadot version. Song. Is that how you say her name?
Gal Gadot, yeah. Stars Are Blind is good. I mean, it's great, but like, come on, like, let's.
You're saying good, like how you're saying The Ring wasn't scary. You are.
It is hard to have taste.
As ridiculous as this woman in Charleston.
Okay, it's not. Listen. You're
negging both of
Okay, let me give you a little bit of history on The Ring, because guess what? It's not an American idea. It was actually started off as a Japanese film called Ringu by Hideo Nakata. Had the original vision, and this does, they say, a good job of honoring his vision, but also still being a surprisingly solid remake. And it stars Naomi Watts, who, by the way, this is one of her first. This is right around the time it was like this and Mulholland Drive, the David Lynch film, and she kind of exploded out of nowhere. And I've never seen that movie. You would hate it. You would hate Mulholland Drive. You would.
I'm sure I would.
You talk about a movie that doesn't make sense. You would hate. But she is stunning. I forgot how beautiful Naomi Watts is. And she is stunning in this movie. And she plays Rachel, who is an investigative reporter, of course. And then she has this little kid, this little brat kid that calls her, they don't even call her mommy, calls her Rachel. And it's you call me mom.
He is the real, everyone likes to think of like Samara as like and also it's like,
this is the real.
I also had my hair. I also had like my fingers in my eyes, and I told you I unplugged my TV from my wall, and I'm like, God knows how long that's going to fucking take me to like reconnect. I'm going to have to call DirecTV, which I know I'm not going to do. So I'm not going to see that TV for a while. Anyway, but like, I feel like it's like the Zendaya, like Anna Faris thing. Like, is it Samara or Samara?
I think it's Samara.
Okay.
But by the way, she's the fucking girl in The Ring. Who cares? It's not like she's going to get mad and like.
Everyone thinks that Samara is the villain of this film. And that is, I would say equally as, if not more, is this fucking little demon, the son, Aiden, his eyes, like it looks.
He reminds
like
me of the kid of the Pet Cemetery. Remember that movie?
I never saw it because this was the only horror movie I saw, and this is the only horror movie I've ever seen. It ruined it. His eyes, it looks like, I love it whenever we record. Limp Bizkit always comes up in some way. But it's like his eyes look like, was it West? Like the contacts? Like
West Borland. Yeah. West Borland.
Of just like the blackout. His eyes, he is fucking creepier than Samara.
Yeah, the kid is creepier than the girl coming out of the well. And he's just
his little like Lloyd Christmas fucking haircut.
Is he like? And he's like 7 or 8, but he's an asshole. He's like a stone cold asshole. Like you don't, and he's like really creepy. Like you don't get a good vibe from this kid.
He's so pretentious. He's like a murderous little like Frasier.
Now this Lori Vallow, if you've been following the Lori Vallow case, now this kid probably is a demon.
I don't know. Is it a documentary?
It is. You're not going to be. So this is The Ring from 2000. 2001, 2002. We open up with rain pattering, and two girls are watching TV magnetic waves because they're talking about magnetic waves being molecules in our head. They're unstable. It's a big conspiracy.
It sounds like they've been like watching like Alex Jones before this.
Yeah.
They're talking about like the electric waves are ruining our brains. And when Amber Tamblyn says like it's all a conspiracy and big companies are trying to cover it up.
This predicted Trump.
Like, I like that they're predicting like 5G of like, you know, like the libtards are going to ruin your brain and they're trying to cover up with, you know, these, you know, like Microsoft and, you know, this, you know, this Soros guys trying to cover it up. So yeah, they're when they talk
about Amber Tamblyn, you guys, who you know, she's been in tons of things, but she's married to David Cross, the comedian. Did you know that, Amber Tamblyn?
Yes, I think they make the cutest couple.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been.
How would like he's the principal in She Is the Man, a highly underrated movie. But like, what are other?
He's
characters?
in Arrested Development. He's in Mr. Show with Bob and Dave.
Okay, but yeah, he's like one of those people who like you've seen, like, but a lot of who's some people might not know his like actual name. He's the bald guy with glasses. I would say I thought Amber Tamblyn really resembled Sheena from season 1 Vanderpump Rules.
I can see that, but she's supposed to be 16 in this too. But don't worry, don't get too attached to her because we don't have her for long. And so all of a sudden this girl's like, hey, have you heard about this videotape that kills you when you watch it? It's like somebody's nightmare. And suddenly this woman comes out smiling through the screen. Then after it's over, your phone rings and they say you'll die in 7 days, which I was like, wow, really a lot of exposition hit you right at the top. You know, like I'm going to give you the entire plot of the movie. And then all of a sudden Amber Tamblyn is like, yo, I watched it. I watched that tape. Me and Josh, we saw it last weekend. His friend's got a place in the mountains trying to record a football game. The tape wasn't there, and it was this. And the other girl's like, what was it? It was some.
Sorry, I like that her friend who like told her about like this tape that kills people. When she was like, we watched that tape. I watched it last week with Josh. And the friend automatically was like, you told me you were with your parents last weekend. That would be the horror of me. Been like, oh no, I don't want to care. Been like, oh no. You did something that I wasn't invited to. I'm going to be the number one. I'm going to kill myself. I wasn't invited to something. Would I have turned the invitation down? Probably, of course. But the problem, like, you didn't invite me? Oh, no. I'm going to murder you fucking right now. Like, and she's like, I didn't like tell you, like, we got a place in the woods, like me and 2 other, nope.
But this, by the way, also, I was like, this could have gone like, where it was like, I was with him and his friends and they made me watch this tape. It was like this girl in a well and she was completely naked and they like tied her up. Like I thought it was like, you know, that where they try to make a girl watch like a sexy video.
And then she like this bus picked her up and they were called like the Bang Bros. And like, they just like, it just like seemed so weird. And then they did like this audition tape. And
it was a casting director and it was like this girl and it was like her first ever. And the casting director said she was all beautiful. And then she started taking her clothes off. No. And so the friend's like, well, what was on the tape? And Amber was like, it was something else. We thought it was kind of a sick joke, but then the phone rang and it was a week ago tonight. And the other girl goes, you're just trying to scare me. And all of a sudden Amber Tamblyn goes, and she starts gagging. She's dying. And they're like, Becca's like, oh my God, Katie. And then all of a sudden Amber Tamblyn's like, gotcha. I'm joking.
She pulled a Tyra Banks, like when she pretended that she was like fainting, like about to throw up. And then she's like, it's the Tyra Pranks episode. It really is. It's like, it's one of that is an iconic image that I don't mind taking up my brain of Tyra pretending she had rabies.
Yes, you totally fell for it, didn't you? And then Katie's like, Rebecca's like, did you guys do anything? And then the phone rings. We see that it's 10 p.m. They stare at each other. And then Katie's like, no, sorry. Becca's like, there really is a tape. And Amber looks scared. And it is like, so it makes no sense. Oh yeah, by the way, this is like the phone thing. Remember the movie Scream had already come out. So this, if you didn't know it was based on a remake, is kind of like copying the first scene of Scream with Drew Barrymore because the phone rings and it's like, so that tension, we've already seen this at this point in the movie Scream, but
yeah, it's like an 8-minute like cold open.
Yeah, like it's a big scene.
I did like that the opening of like the DreamWorks logo, like the DreamWorks, like the like little boy who's
Little
like
boy fishing
or whatever. And which I only think of like I automatically think of like the movie Shrek for something when I think of like the DreamWorks logo. But this DreamWorks logo, I like that it was like all in theme because it like then the DreamWorks like it starts like glitching. I was like, oh, I like it. I liked that.
It's so easy to please you. I mean,
Really?
by the way, I'm the that. So what's she talking about? DreamWorks, Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and who was the third?
Oh, they're behind DreamWorks.
Shut up.
No, I'm not,
David
no,
David Geffen. It was David Geffen.
No,
Steven
I'm not
Spielberg,
being
and
an
Jeffrey
asshole.
Katzenberg.
I truly.
You didn't know that those were the three behind. So they guys.
My brain is taken up with this Brian Cox suicide
in
scene.
1995, they created DreamWorks SKG, which was to be their own movie studio. They were going to have a musical arm, like a music arm for like, and that was where David Geffen, because Geffen had Geffen Records, he was going to trade that. Animation, Jeffrey Katzenberg was from Disney, and then Steven Spielberg film. And so they produced so many things. In fact, their music label, they had the Rent soundtrack on it. They had George Michael's Older. They made all these big deals at first. And in the production arm, their first film was George Clooney's The Peacemaker, if you remember that piece of shit. And they went and made tons of movies. Eventually, it kind of completely fell off to where now DreamWorks, I think, is still behind like Despicable Me and Jeffrey Katzenberg. There's still like a small element of DreamWorks that exists, but they were trying to be an actual studio. So I read a whole fucking book called this, When We Were Kings.
I'm not making fun of you. I did not know that. I just remember how the Miramax logo is ruined for me, which was the opening of like She's All That and Chicago and like other things, because I didn't know that the Weinstein brothers were behind Miramax. Oh
my God.
But no,
like to me this is like air. Like, how do you not know about Dream? How do you not know the Weinstein brothers were behind Miramax? How do you not see? I grew up with this stuff that it like shocks me when people don't know it, you know? This is what I love to read about. This is like like my dad's a nerd for history. I'm a nerd for like movie and music history, you know, and TV. Okay. Anyways,
I know it's embarrassing.
No, I mean, more people are probably like you than like me. I guess. I just think like, isn't this fascinating?
I know it really is. I swear I had no idea about that. Like when you were saying this, the only thing I knew of when you said like the George Clooney thing, I just think of like George Clooney, like being roommates with Jay Leno, and George Clooney like had a cat. No, or maybe Jay, like one of them had a cat, and it must have been George Clooney because he's just such a classic prankster.
He does. George Clooney.
He should have been in Impractical Jokers, because it's like when you look like George Clooney, you can be a prankster. If you don't look like George Clooney, you're an asshole. Don't do a fucking prank, because it's horrible. Unless you're George Clooney or Ashton Kutcher, don't fucking prank me. But like he took like an actual like shit in the cat litter box. Like that's all I.
I think
that's
I
like
told
all I
you
knew
about
of that
this.
whole like information. Like that's I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I like to think that I know useless celebrity trivia.
Well, you probably know this about George Clooney too, is that he had like a group of like 12 male friends that he grew up in Hollywood with. One being Richard Kind, the actor. And if you guys know Richard Kind, look him up. You know him immediately. He's like,
what does he do? What is name a character?
Like he's in Curb Your Enthusiasm a lot, but he's been in like Coen Brothers film. I mean, he's been in everything. Look him up. You will know him. Richard Kind.
In like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Who is he in?
Just look up Richard Kind. Why
can't you just fucking tell people the character?
Look up Richard Kind. Look him up. Look him up. No, I want now you have to look him up. Do it.
Okay, why didn't you say he's the voice of he did the voice in A Bug's Life.
Jesus God.
That's how I know him.
So sad.
He also does a voice in
are you looking at a picture, or are you just hearing a voice? Do you see the man?
I'm looking at a picture of him, and then it comes up of like little pictures of his history, and one of them is A Bug's Life.
Okay, so George Clooney had 12 male friends, and once he hit it big, like after the ER and the Batman movie, He brought all of them over to his house and he gave each of one of them a leather satchel. And in that leather satchel was $1 million in cash for each of those 12 friends. Isn't that amazing?
Oh,
And then I was kind of like, because then it makes you look at your friends and you're like, I have 0 friends that would that even have the possibility. Like, there's nobody even prospect wise that's going to do that for me. Like, because Adam Sandler used to like rent a private jet and fly all his friends to like Maui where he had a place, and I was like, that's cool. Like, none of my friends, like my one friend Nick gives me free concert tickets sometimes, and that's awesome. But other than that, like nothing. Like I mean, not even close. Like, and I don't want to guilt my friends because everybody's kind of spread since COVID. You know, I don't want to like then creep them out even more of like, where's my million? But it is sad because
I like that
know,
you were like, I have 0 friends who would do this. And I was about to be like, I have 0 friends. Oh, that was the whole sentence. I have 0 friends.
No, Jeff Epstein would buy you this.
They would know Richard Kind. Why didn't you just say he was in Santa Paws 2? I would have known right away.
I once met Richard Kind, and he was really nice to the girl I was with, but he wasn't nice to me. And I was like, that always is very telling, you know?
Like, how rude was he to you?
He wasn't rude. He was just like, I was it's like, I was with my friend Amy Landecker, who is now married to Bradley Whitford, the actor. You know Bradley Whitford, right? Okay. Yeah. But Amy's like was in she's been in tons of stuff, but she what was that thing? Transparent on Amazon.
The boss at Bradley Whitford. He's Kate's boss in Kate and Leopold.
Okay.
Didn't he always also used to be?
But he's been in everything. He's been in like Billy Madison, but she's married to him now. But like I went and like she used to date Larry David, and I was at this benefit that she invited me and our class to, and it was like this fancy benefit that like Larry was like a chair of or something. And then afterwards we went to have like an after drink with a bunch of people, and Richard Kind was one of there, and Amy was like, let me introduce you. I know you love him. And he was like, hey, how you doing? You know, like, he's like, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought he would be a lot like friendlier, but he was really friendly to the girls. I just noticed that. It was like Jeff Goldblum.
Oh my God. He's so sexy. Oh my God. Oh, also, I don't know why I'm like, he's the boss in Kate and Leopold. Like, oh, he was, I don't know why I just didn't say he's like the dad in Get Out. Also, did you know that he can like, well, I'm sure your friend Amy told you since she's like married to him now, like that he can do like full on Kyle Richards, like splits.
I do know that actually.
Did you ever get to see him do it?
No. You know, in fact, I have not met him. I've not met because they like started hooking up, like it was right. All of this happened, I think, over COVID. They've been together and stuff, but like she had like a dating roster. Like she dated Louis C.K. She dated before all the shit. She dated Larry David. And she was like the coolest person.
You like would do like the Cyrano de Bergerac. Like this is who you were able to.
Yeah, that I would write the emails to Larry David for. And but by the way, because she's also really smart, and she's awesome. Like. And she's from Chicago theater. Like she was like she is a well-respected theater actor, but so like she's age appropriate. She's age appropriate for all of these guys. So it wasn't like these guys were trying to get a young, like she's beautiful, but she's age appropriate for these men, which I was always really impressed with, Oh
my God. She has like my dream dating like roster.
She does. I mean, like, truly, I mean, like amazing. And she has a daughter from a previous marriage, and best mother, like just an amazing, and just one of the most talented actors I've ever seen. She'd be great in The Ring if they remade it. Anyway, so we're back with these girls.
So you're saying you would be interested in the movie? That's what I hear.
Okay, we hear static going.
Scared by it. It's very weird that you won't admit it.
Okay. We're going. So they go downstairs. The phone is ringing. The phone's ringing, which is even scarier because they just had the phone ring, and it's her mom. And Becca's like, ask her where she keeps the Vicodin. Amber Tamblyn opens the fridge to get lemonade, and then closes it, and we see that Becca is gone now, but we hear static going. And then Amber walks into the living room, and we see static on a TV screen, like
the snow, is.
Yeah. And she's like, Becca, quit being a bitch. Where's the remote? And then all of a sudden the TV, she turns it off with the remote. And then the TV static snow resumes out of nowhere.
I was thinking, I was like, do kids these days even know like what snow like is? Because I feel like now that like we don't have snow. Now it's just like it goes to like a like black screen or like a blue screen. Like you don't have like the
Yeah. No, we don't have it at all. I mean, like we don't have that. Kids don't know what it's like to see a test pattern. People don't, like TV has gone through.
Like in the test pattern, that's like the rainbow thing, right? I mean, it wasn't rainbow, but like is that what you're talking about? Like
I remember as a very little kid, there would be like a network sign off where it would be like in Kansas. I remember like a flag like flying on a pole, and it'd be like dun 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 dun, and that would be like the end of that day's programming on like a certain station. But that was when I was a real.
And then it would just like turn up. Like, wouldn't the TV just like or TV been like, okay, bye, that's TV.
I think it would just be then it would be just the test pattern. I think, like, which would just be like,
And now it's like now at least you have like infomercials for like Proactive and for like.
Yeah, they use it to sell more soap. Like they can use it for advertising. So she's like, Becca, where are you? Stop being a bitch. And then she hears like a thump, and she peeks upstairs, Amber Tamblyn, and she's like, Becca, can you hear me? She goes upstairs, and all of a sudden she sees liquid coming out of the door, you guys. Like liquid. Her friend has like literally pissed herself or something. Like there's liquid.
Water. There's dripping. Water like all over the floor. It looks like after I like washed my face at night. Like it's just there's water everywhere.
It's like after you listen to one of your favorite podcasts by those movie recap guys.
Exactly. It's just flood. I mean, it's just like, flooded. Is this? Oh my God, are we having a flush? Is this Katrina?
But
or am I listening to?
No, what's scarier? The water even dripping from the door handle, and she opens the door, and we see all of a sudden the camera rushes to her face while she screams. We cut to a dumb little kid looking at his teacher. This is the creepy kid, you guys.
This is fucking little. This demon.
And we hear Naomi Watts coming down the hall, obviously picking up this kid from school. And she's like, if you touch my column, I'll poke your eye with that little red pencil. So we know she's a roving reporter. She's like, oh my God, sorry, I'm late. And then this kid, you guys, Aiden is this kid's name. He's like, I'll wait in the car. I'm like, bitch, you wait with me. Like, what are you talking? I'll wait in the car. And then the teacher's like, do you have a moment, Miss Keller? And he's like, okay. And then she goes, I know that Aiden just lost his cousin. And Naomi Watts is like, I'm doing my best to find him daycare. And the teacher's like, I know they were close, but him and his cousin, they talk about death? And she says, well, he's not the talkative type. He knows I'm there for him. And she goes, you might try to get him to express himself in another way. I want to show you something.
Yeah, she's like, we're concerned because he's really, really creepy. And
but they put out the drawings that he's making. It's supposedly, so this cousin, his cousin is Amber Tamblyn. And supposedly these drawings are like Katie buried underground. But I got to tell you, the drawings are shit. Like they're not even, I could not put together that was Katie or there. I was like, wait, what? Like, I guess we're told they're bad. This kid does not have, don't express yourself in that way. It's not his art form. And
I don't want to be like, I mean, thank God I don't want kids for a multitude of reasons, but kids are shitty fucking artists. And like, I give parents a lot of credit for everything, but the fact that they have to be like, when they're like, yeah, I made you a picture, and you have to be like, oh, way to go, buddy. Oh, this is going on the fridge. Nope, this is going in the fucking trash. This is garbage. I could attach this fucking a crayon to my cat and have it walk around. The same.
The teacher goes, you say she died 3 nights ago? And then Naomi's like, yeah. And the teacher goes, Aiden drew these last week. And so that means that this kid had some kind of vision of like, but I said, the drawings are so bad that I'm like, we don't have to worry about it. This is not that girl. Like,
if he was doing fucking like, what is it, Pictionary, or like, what is it, charades, where you're like, whatever the thing is, if you were like allowed to draw like on a canvas and you were trying to get like your team or whatever to guess, you'd be like, I don't know, like watermelon, like on the ground, like
it looked like just like somebody underground.
Like,
it really didn't, it was like
ocean,
stupid.
like what is this? And like he's the creepiest fucking kid. Like he looks like, then like, my favorite candy is raisins. Like he's just a fucking freak show. Like,
so,
no, if this was that fucking mad mom who was like who was an asshole, she probably has a. Can you imagine how bummed out you'd be if you had a kid and you realized you had a fucking Aiden and you're like, legally I'm attached to this disaster for 18 years? No, I'd be, if I had that kid, oh no, I'd just be like, hey, listen, buddy, your personality is terrible. I don't like you. I technically have to. You're not a joy to be around, and you're a terrible artist.
Okay, Annabelle hates the kids, so they drive home in silence. They get back home, and this kid's like, "Hey, I'm gonna put myself to bed." Like he's like that kind of kid. He's like, I'm gonna go to bed, and she goes, "Okay." So he dreams, and then Aiden goes, this little kid goes, "We don't have enough time." And Naomi mistakes that as like time with her. She's like, "I know, I've been working a lot." He's like, "No, I'm talking about time before we die." This is like a 7-year-old kid. He's like, she's like, "You know when I'm going to die?" And oh no. The kid goes, "Do you know when I'm going to die?" And she goes, "No one does, but I know you don't have to worry about that.
Unfortunately, not soon enough for me."
Yeah. And then he goes, "Katie knew," who's Amber Tamblyn. And Naomi was like, "Katie told you she was going to die?" And then he goes, "She said she didn't have enough time." And then the kid goes, "Good night, Rachel." And he turns over like a fuck you in the bed. He like turns over. Which is, by the way, if you're that kid's mother, it's like, shake the shit out of him and go like, "What the fuck do you mean? Like you've like creeped the hell out of me after we've had like a death in our family. And you just said, I talked to her, never enough time. And then good night, Rachel." My name is Mom.
And like,
I hate people that call their parents by their first names.
That is just, it's so fucking weird and bizarre. The disrespect and weirdness. Also, I thought you were going to say, I do think it was very odd that the teacher asked, I know I'm going back, but fact that the teacher asked to talk to Naomi, I know you're going to fucking kill me, but the teacher sits down at a desk. Naomi sits on top of the desk. No, that's like what a cool teacher does, who's like trying to relate to the class. I'm like, I'm just like one of you guys. What parent sits on the top of the desk, like with the teacher who's holding your fucking little psychopath drawings? So, this is where the disrespect starts.
No, it really, this doesn't make me want to have a kid. Like if I got a little bastard like this, that's not cool. You know, it's not cool.
Movie Music at the Heart. I never saw that movie. I like
no, I'm not. No, Meryl's. By the way, Wes Craven directed Music from the Heart, which is weird because Wes Craven is known for Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street and the Scream franchise. But then he took a departure and he did Music from the Heart, which is a Meryl Streep film. So he was a multi-talented director.
I just know it because NSYNC had a song on the soundtrack, which I would say most of my VHSs that I had in my bedroom were like NSYNC performances. Like I had like a bookcase full of like video, like home videos that I had recorded of like NSYNC performances where they'd be on like a show for like 2 minutes. And it's like, when I got home, like from this destroyed my personal VHS collection. Cause I'm like, I have to get rid of all these VHSs. Like I'm like, oh my God, I can't get, this was NSYNC live at Madison Square Garden. Like the same show where like JC Chazet, like, it was an upshot. They had like a camera on like the upside down. Like this is when he licked.
JC Chazet had an upskirt shot?
Like he had, or like an up shot or whatever. Like up shot or whatever. I don't know the Hollywood term you use, Ryan. Okay. But like the shot was like upward and like it's during like digital get down, which they predicted like cyber sex. Like
yep.
And like
digital get down.
And this is like JC like licks the floor and camera, and I'm like, that was like my first time I think of like hugging my pillow like weird, of like I can't get rid of this, like this is